They had a cute little chick. She says her name was Anita. She said she was the mother of the purple people leader. She says when she learned it,
all right.
the biggest the most because everybody's doing it coast to coast. Space.
Yes, yes, okay. Just warming our seats up here. Waiting for people to trickle in. Hello, hello in the chat.
Little space girl. I think you do it, honey. Come on. You'll be glad you did.
As we wait, let us talk about something. Let me say something, which is that we acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the land upon which we gather. I am in LA on Tongva land. I am acknowledging their elders past, present, and emerging. And as we gather in a collected community online, we also acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land outside of LA. Sovereignty has never been ceded. It always was and always will be First Nations land. We recognize the past atrocities against the First Peoples of this land and that America was founded on the genocide and dispossession of First Nations people. We acknowledge that colonial structures and policies remain in place today and recognize the ongoing struggles of First Nations people in dismantling those structures. The struggle to seek justice, to remember and address this nation's past is ongoing and is a necessary requirement for individual and collective healing. We further recognize that as settlers, saying these words is not enough. It is only a beginning. Our words call us into action to support Indigenous-led grassroots change movements and campaigns, as well as a commitment to returning land. I'm gonna start recording, is the instinct I have. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am Sister Bride. I am an astrological mutant. I am half artist, half triple Gemini, and I facilitate this class. It is called Spacecraft, and tonight is the final show. Glad to see you here. If you love astrology, you're in the right place. If you love art, you're in the right place. If you hate both those things, you're probably not in the right place, but keep watching because this group of artists will convince you. And tonight might be the day you have a breakthrough. So for context, I have been meeting with these 7 special people for the past 10 weeks in a sort of astro boot camp. Lots of sweat, lots of tears, alien tears. I have been assigning very challenging prompts week by week based on their birth charts, and there have been profound results. And today you get to see the final ascent, the final creative act, which was inspired by the planet Pluto. And the prompt I have asked of them today is this: your natal chart, the ultimate truth. Your chart in its whole intensity. Your chart, the grand, powerful gesture. So we are going to see these gestures from Olin Lee, Sherry Aliberti, George Olkin, Maggie Johnson, Stephanie McKenna, Fontaine Capel, and Katie Akbar. And what you're about to see is basically what we do every week with each other, which we show up, we show each other our work, and we voraciously comment on it. And I encourage you as viewers to please drop in the chat questions, comments, impressions, hysterical exclamation points, all along the way. We will acknowledge them. We will answer questions. And we love you. So I think that's that. And I think it's time to get going. So I think we will begin with a bang with Maggie Johnson. Maggie, let's do it. Everybody welcome Maggie. Let's spotlight your video.
Awesome. Yes, so I made another mono printed piece for this week, and I kind of went back through all of the notes from every planet that we've talked about over the last 10 weeks and kind of pulled keywords and just major kind of themes and thoughts and put them all into my brain so that I had them in there while I was making this piece. I feel like a lot of my work, it's kind of more like about chasing like the feeling of a thing. So it was like the feeling of my chart. And so I'll grab it. It's quite large, and then I'll put a picture up on screen share so that we can look at it better, because it's so hard to share this work on this format. So,
hey Maggie, also,
yes.
Do you want to let everyone know what your rising, sun, and moon are in the least?
Oh, sure. Yes. Leo rising, Libra sun, Aquarius moon. And so I made this big monoprint. It's very colorful and has lots going on. Yes, let me share my screen of a better image for you guys. Cool. So yeah, so I considered my whole chart in it, but also kind of went back to a little bit of like Jupiter week, because I feel like that week was just like a huge breakthrough for me in my work, trying to work from like a place that's feels really free and feels really good and like full of joy, and work intuitively and like not overthinking and just kind of like letting it flow. So that was, I feel like Jupiter was my like driving force behind this one.
Maggie, I love the progression of like seeing you get looser with your work. And I feel like you said that too with like connecting with Jupiter. I can really tell that you let go, but it's also so well composed. I mean, it reminds me of another piece that you did in a similar way of like just thinking about color and how the colors come together and where they're sitting. Even though it feels very organic, I can tell that you definitely like trusted your intuition, like you said, and kind of like your intuition knows color so well. And it's really fun to like, it almost has like a chutes and ladders quality, but in a way that's like so abstract that I love. And I can see like certain images, but I'm also questioning whether I'm just like projecting what those images are, which I love. I love how abstract it is that I can sort of like put my own meaning on certain shapes, but they're not super specific. It's really, really beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Something I remember just from like your first prints that we were looking at, there was always like a connection. I think I like referred to it as like neurons or something, like connecting and sparking. And what's really exciting here to see is the connection is feeling organic and expansive, like the way Jupiter is. And the colors have seemed to also like evolve into something more exuberant, and like, because the red is like, it's like a spark of joy for me. I also didn't see Chutes and Ladders until you said that, Stephanie, but now I see it, and I can see like Ferris wheels, and I'm kind of seeing a theme park, and I'm really into it. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was thinking too, like just to have something to kind of like hold it all together. I put that black line down the middle of it, like last thing, and I was like, that I feel like that adds like the balance that it needed. And being a Libra, it's like I need the balance, you know.
I'm so glad you mentioned the black line, and I'm so glad it was, because the black line stands out to me as like a kind of a mirror. Like I have this sense that the two halves are the same, but they're totally not. It's just like a kind of visual trick that the black line creates. And so I'm just fascinated by that gesture, where it's like splitting it down the middle makes me think about halves and hemispheres. I'm thinking about like the two sides of the chart, the two sides of the brain. And yeah, I don't know. I'm still trying to decode how the line does that work. And yeah, I look at this and I see characters. I see a kind of story tapestry, and I have to remind myself that it's abstract. I don't know. It's that. Yeah, I'm very excited by that. The closeness that the shapes have to some sort of like cartoon narrative, but then it just swirls away again. I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is that like in a bunch of different ways, and it tricks me into seeing something different, and I find that just really exciting. Thank you for sharing.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, I also got initially the Chutes and Ladders, but then like as I keep, and I also love that black line down the middle. But I also, as I keep staring at it, I kind of get this like aerial view of a map of you, like it's a map of Maggie, like Maggie's map. And it's just cool. It's like, oh, and over here we have like the Ferris wheel of Maggie. But and yeah, I love all the too, that it's this beautiful weaving of like light pastel colors, and also like the brightness and strength of the black and the red is so striking to me, and I love that combination. And we've talked about this before, just your general use of color is always so aesthetically pleasing. And I definitely feel that Jupiter and Leo just throughout. It's a really fun, beautiful map of you. And yeah, I think too, kind of similarly what other people are saying, like I feel like I'm creating my own story, and I feel like that's kind of how it is, right? Like we all create our own stories of other people, and like I see like, oh, I see this part of you, and that's how I see you. And yeah, I think it's really beautiful, and it's like every time you look you see something different. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
And I'm struck. Yeah, I'm sorry to speak again, but I realize like this is the magic wallpaper. Like this is the magic wallpaper.
Yes.
To me, it's like do the whole wall this way, and you don't need any technology to make it transform, because the like density of colors and shapes, it transforms before the eyes, even though it's static. I mean, to me, and I'm glad I got to see how big it is, because it's like you're moving towards that magic wallpaper saying I don't know. I'm not going to explain it to anyone about that what I'm referencing, but you know what I mean.
That's very cool. I love that.
I love that, George. I'm so glad you said that because I totally agree. Like now that I'm staring at it, I just keep seeing different things. And I agree, it totally, like our eyes change it as we look at it, which is really cool. And it does remind me of your wallpaper, Maggie. I also really want to do this as a puzzle. I think it would be so fun.
That was totally my first thought, Stephanie, was like it could be a puzzle, and like all of the puzzle pieces were these unique, weird, different shapes. And especially kind of what Katie was saying about it being a map of you, and kind of like having been on this journey so far and seeing all of your work leading up to this one, it does really feel like a really amazing culmination of everything. And just like remembering the story of the Jupiter piece being kind of just so kind of like effortless and playful, and then to kind of take that energy and really work it into something just so layered and intriguing. And yeah, I knew the black line was your Libra. That was really funny. And I just think too, like there's something really special about how many different colors you use, and to also have seen that like they're all your colors, like in a way, like you've really like claimed a certain vast color palette for us. And I think that's also why this is like the wallpaper as well. And this piece is, what is it, 30 inches by 40 inches? Like it so deserves more than my computer screen.
I know, I wish so badly you guys could somehow like come to my apartment and see it in person, but
And kiss you on the cheeks, Maggie.
Yes.
So there's some nice comments in the chat. Yeah, everyone's noticing it's very Jupiterian. Olivia Pepper reminds me of the Wheel of Fortune card and the tarot.
Oh, cool.
PLW said orange is Leo, blue is air, and the balance is Libra. Oh, and then Elizabeth Pook was onto this wallpaper thing. They're asking, did you want to pull any ghosts of this print? I feel like it would be so cool to see it melt away.
Ooh. Yeah, that would be cool.
Thank you, Maggie.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you all.
All right, let's keep it rolling. I think All In Lee is next. All In.
Hey. Hold on. So I want to give like just a content warning and a trigger warning. So I'm going to mention sexual assault, and the music video that I'm going to show contains nudity. So just want to like put that out there. If anyone feels uncomfortable, we can like walk away. So in the back of my head, I kept thinking about like the Virgo stellium in the 11th house while I was doing this. And I was like, how can I be resourceful? I actually was having like major health issues this past week. And I was like, well, I can't shoot footage, so I'm going to have to find some like older footage. But the notes I got for Blair that inspired me was Pluto's square Chiron in Leo, and that's in the 10th house. Even though you are quite private, there is an ultimate displaying of your wounds, confessional release point, putting it all out in the open as a necessary step towards your healing. So before I even I feel like I have to talk about it before I share it. The project's been ongoing. It was, the song itself was actually first written in 2012. The footage was shot, I think it was 2015, by my close friend, who's an incredible film person, director. I rearranged and then mixed the song about a month ago with my close friend and violinist. And then I edited the video this week. And You probably won't understand the words. I share the lyrics at the end, but the song's called Martyr. It was the first song I wrote after being physically and sexually assaulted in college. I had an internal hearing at the college, and he was found not responsible or guilty. The best way I can explain this experience of this song is that it was channeled. The lyrics came out of some like strange sounds I made and needed to make or express and like move through. And the first verse is baby Jesus speaking of the resentment he has towards Mary for his existence. The second verse is Mary speaking to God. And the chorus is Mary crying out at Jesus's crucifixion. I didn't realize that when I was writing it. It like happened afterwards, and like the imagery all kind of sort of came together. And the song itself, it's always shifting and changing. It was like initially about sexual assault, but now I would say it's 100% about being trans and the shame that's around that, and like the grief, and there's not words for it. That's why it became a video and a song. Yeah. So I'm gonna share it, and I always forget how to share my screen. Is there a way to share so the video's like cleaner?
Yeah. You can, when you hit the share screen option, there's several options: share whole screen or share the video if the video is already open. Yeah.
Are they optimized for video clip?
I'll
just click that. Okay. It shouldn't be skippy, and if the sound's off, just let me know.
I'm just a baby in a crib, fighting my muscles I give, if I were a poison, you must shake me for my own mother. Yes, you'd forsake me. I'm just a lady with sin. No, passive and docile healing. No, fear of murder. Would he break me and call for it harder? Oh, yeah, he's shaking. Let go for now. My child is my child. For now, my child.
Hold on just a second. So the lyrics are, I'm just a baby in a crib, fighting my muscles I give. If I were a puzzle, would you mistake me for my own mother? You'd forsake me. I'm just a lady with sin, no. Passive and docile he wins, oh. If he were a martyr, would he break me and call for it harder? Yeah, he's shaking. Let go for now, who is my child? Let go for now, who is my child? And then it dissolves into let go for now, who is my child? If will I give in? What? Yeah. The road is dim. Will I give in? Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Lauren. It's a very moving piece that I find overwhelmed. I'm trying to think. I know that I need to watch it again and listen to it. The, I guess I just am thinking of the two moments that stuck out to me were, or one idea that stuck out to me was just the way that liquid on the way that things pass over us, they aren't touching us. The way that like molecules are like appear to be like that at the macro level, we appear to be touching and yeah, combining, and how there's a way in which everything is always on the surface. And that was really made visible in this, and that, yeah, that seeming, especially when the liquid is on the eye, and it's like, I just thought that like really, I mean, it really struck a chord with me to think about, yeah, what it means to be where our edges are, and what it means to be covered, and what it means to be revealed. And another moment was when the blue color appeared. Up to that point, every color seemed almost explicable, like of an origin that I could in some way trace, even if I wasn't tracing it exactly. And the blue for me was like the moment where self-creation appeared, where it's like, this is like, these things are made. These are all materials that point to things. They're not necessarily the things themselves. And we like, and yeah, and we make ourselves, we make our own appearance. Anyway, I was just very moved by that. I thought that introduction kind of like, for me, opened up all the color palette. Yeah, no, I mean, and I feel like the song I need to listen to again. I was very overwhelmed by the imagery. But thank you for sharing such a dense piece, a piece that was so rich.
Thank you. That's cool because part of the like alchemy is a part of it, and the blue was specifically Mary's ability to, well, it's a lot of things, but it was Mary's ability to create life.
The kind of like part of what George said about the like never touching, molecules. The reversal, like the like temporal reversal, right? And how clean, like without a trace, the liquid became, yeah, alchemy really, sorry, I'm not very wordsmithy today. Yeah, the part of why I'm not very wordsmithy is it was so like overwhelming and so like visceral of a piece, and like evocative of a very specific like thing in like behind my sternum, you know, like almost like a sickly like sternum gut, like you know. Yeah, but that ability to the like impossible untangling or like unmixing of things, you know, to absolutely clear it out, to re-separate like the before and the after, you know, to like unmix the colors. That was the thing that like kept getting me. Yeah, there are lots of things. I want to watch it again and like digest it. But thank you so much.
Yeah, Olin, wow, thank you. That piece was so embodied, like similar to what Fontaine said. Like your body was the subject, but it felt so embodied when I was watching it in my body, which makes it hard to talk about. I agree. I want to watch it again. The part where you cracked the egg, I just feel like also I want to talk about your editing because I know that that's what you worked on this week. Like the way that you brought us emotionally through the crux of the song with the editing and the way that you splice things together. I loved like the forward and reverse of the liquid and sort of playing with physics in that way. And then at the end, I was so struck by just like the stillness because we had been on this like roller coaster with you with the editing and the fastness and the peak of the song. And then the end, I was like waiting for it to change. And then I realized it wasn't going to. And then I just really enjoyed like the slowness of just being in that liquid. And similar to what George said, like the idea that you kind of like change the shape of your face by just being in this liquid and like submerging a little more. It was so it was it was breathtaking to watch and I'm excited to see it again. Thank you.
I feel like I have to almost apologize because like we went from Maggie's like woo colors. I'm like, hello, here's the eighth house.
Well, Olin, I'm really glad you did have that intro, and I'm glad you also talked about your like that connection with Chiron in, what was it, Chiron in Leo, in the 10th house. Yeah. Because that connection with your Pluto, like it really did feel, and I also I feel like there's a whole bunch of threads that I can follow with that piece. Let me try to be organized. Okay, yeah, with that connection of Chiron in the Leo, and what you mentioned um, about sharing your wounds, and it, you know, it, yeah, we're talking about like Chiron and Pluto, but it was also like the colors were so bright, and it was this like just really just strikingly beautiful piece, and the voice too. Oh, like I feel like the vocals, the music, and the video could all be separate pieces, but all of them together is just like, oh my gosh, it was just like I was overwhelmed by the beauty of all of it, and the beauty of this like wound, that you're speaking on, yeah, is incredibly moving, and yeah, just, I mean, I feel like I've said this before in so many of your pieces, but it just feels like we're given this chance to like peer inside of you, um, and just see inside your world. And it was yeah, it felt like it didn't feel like it was an honor just to witness, especially, you know, after sharing that your story. And yeah, I'm also glad you spoke of the color symbolism of the blue and touched on like relating that to Mary and birth and creation. And like the red seemed like death to me, or like a dying of something. And then the white was this like the liminal space of life in between birth and death. And yeah, and also the edit, like honestly, everything was so beautiful and just so well done. And I also would like feel like I could just really pick apart and and like go through all the symbolism. But yeah, thank you for sharing all of that. That's all, it was very beautiful to witness.
We have PLW saying, I saw the milk or the white as the sweetness of which is innate in you and continued throughout the piece. A lot of praise for this throughout the chat. Olivia was asking if you have Venus in Virgo. And there were some other others asking like if you could tell us about your chart, all in.
Sure. I actually wrote out here. I'll just like go through it really quick. Okay, first house Pluto Scorpio. I'm not going to do the aspects. Second house Sagittarius on the North Node. Third house Uranus Capricorn. Third house Neptune Capricorn. Fourth house Saturn Aquarius. Fifth house ruled by Pisces. Sixth house ruled by Aries. Seventh house ruled by Taurus. 10th house Leo Chiron. 11th house Virgo, Mercury, Virgo, Jupiter, Virgo. Oh, Sun, Virgo Sun. 12th house is Venus, Libra. And what I've really taken is that like I have a very intense need for solitude and darkness, but the Virgo energy like tethers me back to something that is healing and allows me to also offer that healing to others. It just sometimes comes off like really fucking intense.
Olivia also had a good point. There's so much rich interplay symbolically with the mixing of red and white. It reminds me of the rose and the lily in occult traditions and the humors of sanguine and phlegmatic. Thank you, Olin. Brilliant. Thank you, thank you.
You can go next.
George.
Hey all, George, I'm a writer. All my planets are on the eastern hemisphere of my chart, within 150 degrees from the sun in Leo to Jupiter in Capricorn. And my chart's dominated by like a square between the sun and Venus and moon in Leo and Saturn and Mars in Scorpio, which are both fixed signs, fire and water. So the first part of my piece is based on that kind of fire and water bit. And then the second major aspect in my chart is a trine between Mercury in Virgo and Jupiter in Capricorn, which are both Earth. So that's part 2, Earth. And in this piece, I quote a line from Gerard Manley Hopkins. The poem is "Spelt in Sybil's Leaves." Oh, and the last thing to say is this is July 22nd. So this is 722, so this is 722 words. And the words should appear on screen. If they don't, interrupt me. Dying, Dev. After 12 years of nothing, the text arrived in the middle of the night from an unknown number. Oh, I'm going to go back, sorry. And the last thing to say is, there's no air in my chart, so this is somewhat breathless. Dying, Dev. After 12 years of nothing, the text arrived in the middle of the night from an unknown number, almost casual, except its message. Maybe she had a new phone. Maybe the number belonged to a friend. Maybe she was in hospital and a nurse sent it for her, or another woman on the cancer ward. Maybe it was COVID. Maybe a car crash. Maybe murder or desire. So much of my relationship with Devorah Rosenblum was secrets. We worked together and became lovers despite her dying husband. I had never cheated, nor thought I could dissemble, but I abetted her and learned to lie. Lying led to extremity, swearing oaths, climbing a fire escape, finding each the other's body noiselessly in the dark of her living room while her children slept down the hall. Once, we fucked in a hospital bathroom while her husband dozed. I imagined her in that same hospital now, sneaking after lights out, wheezing, limping, face illumined by the screen, stabbing the keyboard with one incandescent finger. Did I have it wrong? She was not even 50. Devorah was an engineer, shop steward, a fire-haired woman, my foreman at a job between jobs, digging. I planted 70 trees that season, serviceberry, tulip tree, lace bark, and pine. She said she liked me because I read poetry. But you have to like someone at least a little bit already to find that out about them. We were desperate and rough, one leading to the other. I left a hand's constellation on her thigh in bruises, which she described her husband in a rare moment of intimacy during visiting hours, fitting his fingers to, as if he knew without knowing, as if he was already gone, seeing himself going. Devorah told this to me in a whisper, holding my hand to the same thigh. She put our hands wherever she wanted. Devorah was so capable, always doing 8 things at once, doing them all well. She sang, even, beautifully, her voice rich and liquid. I called her Sybil. She called me Gerard. Her fond yellow hornlight wound to the west. Her wild hollow horlight hung to the height waist. Fire featuring heaven. For earth, her being as unbound, her dapple is at an end. Sybil always started with a bit of doom to set the mood. The scam was simple, $70 for a consultation plus tip, then anywhere from $500 to $5,000, depending on the mark, to clear bad auras, hexes, and so on. Love potions were a premium because of the risk involved, jealous spirits. Then we split, Atlantic City, Philly, New York. I was Jerry, Gerard, Jordy, Jordan. That time I was George. Sybil was always Sybil. She was the brand. I was the muscle, her fixer, her doormat. She hit me, I hit back. It could be an ugly business, but when everybody was happy, it was beautiful. This sad sack in Hoboken found us through a flyer on the subway. Most of our business still came that way. He got a message from his lost love. Maybe she was in trouble. This was the best kind of job, because when the urgency is dialed up, the prices go up too. Of course, we went to his place. Sybil asked to see a photo of her, but all the guy had was a leaf, like a tree. I loved watching Sybil work at times like this. She made it sound like a leaf was better. She said the mumbo jumbo. I don't know where she learned this shit. She was always reading. Then she crushed the leaf to dust. It was like she stabbed the guy. Sybil did not play around. I thought he would have a heart attack. She grabbed him and told him where to go and what to say and gave him some seeds to bury, and he ate it. $1,200, easy. But something was funny. Sybil was looking at the hand that crushed the leaf. She said, no money. I tried to intervene, but she shooed me like a nuisance. With talent like Sybil, you learn to accept idiosyncrasies. It doesn't get better, so why spoil a good thing? Her only explanation later was, this one was real. I took her word for it. She knew.
George, I love all of your writing always, so I'm going to try not to be too gushy, but I could really feel the fire and water in the first piece. I'm really glad that you mentioned that before because I was sort of like seeing the pieces of it. And that was really cool to see. I think it's just so interesting how I know that I have a feeling that you have so much structure when you sit down to make a piece, but the way that it comes out, it feels so, I don't want to say effortless because it definitely is very intentional, but just it feels very fluid. I can't always see the structure, which I really appreciate because I know how hard you work on it, and it feels very storyteller-esque. Like it's just sort of like this story that's flowing out, and I think that's what makes it so enjoyable to listen to. So thank you.
Yeah, I also felt the elements strongly in that one, George, particularly fire. I really felt that, and like not just like your Leo fire, but like your Scorpio like passion, like it was so passionate, and I feel like a lot of your pieces are like a lot of your pieces have that passion, and I've and just like with all of your other characters, you know, that's such a short story piece, but even then I'm just like engulfed in the flames of the character's passion. And yeah, I also am always struck by the structure and your intention, and kind of having a feel of how you write. Like I'm always kind of wanting to know like what is behind certain things, because I feel like just reading the story is one thing, but I feel like behind certain things, it's like it opens a door to another meaning, or like something deeper than what is like said on the surface. And I also was struck by the number 12 that kept repeating, and I wondered if it was like the 12 houses or if it had some other meaning. Yeah, I think all my Virgos are like trying to find meaning and like trying to pick out your details. But I know that's part of your magic, so you don't have to give anything away. But anyway, I loved it. Thank you for sharing.
George, I could be totally wrong here, but I really feel like this brought us full circle to the very first piece that you shared with us. I think it felt to me like that was the same character from your first piece. Like at least some part of it was like the digging and the planting trees, which I feel like as a group we've really explored a lot of like trees and leaves and magic, and like so it's really interesting to kind of like come all the way around, and kind of like to feel all of us in this story differently. And yeah, I also get completely enraptured with like what's happening for your characters, and so I think I'm just still with the leaf. I just really, I love that, and I did feel like somehow you just like, and I think Katie, I like how you described it, that like there's these doors that you kind of like open because there was just like that one was real. Like I don't know, but I could tell like you set it up. But yeah, thanks, George. I'm gonna really miss George story time hour.
Yeah, I continue to be struck by, I think I've put a finger on it. I think it's like a timelessness of character, you know? It's like these experiences that your characters are going through and describing, and the way that they're that like we're watching them process, and what they talk about, and like, or what is talked about and what is omitted. It feels like yeah, it feels like classics It feels not classics like big. I mean, also, yeah. Yeah, there's something like, and I think it's just because it's like you like pluck specific chords of human experience like really deftly. Yeah, I'm also gonna miss George Storytime. Yeah. I also like an aside kind of the Virgo in me, which is a lot of me, really wants like a compendium to these stories, you know, like I want the footnotes. Or I want like not even the author's footnotes. I want like the, you know, the person who's decoding your, you know, yeah, like a companion book, a decoder ring. That's what I want. Yeah, thank you.
I'm really glad that you mentioned your fixed signs, because there is something about your writing that has always felt like a hunker down kind of feeling, like something about the timing of where you put the periods, and like they're pretty short, that feels like a trunk of a tree. And then I just connected with Fontaine, like with the timelessness, like this is going to sound strange, like a hunker down with a tree, and then like different strands of timelines being the branches, like kind of coming out. And it's so neat to like to have experienced all of your stories, because I feel like I was able to see your process in a way, and how you can start here and end up here and end up all the way over here. Like, I don't know if I'm making sense. I think that's the timelessness part, or the like interweaving of different characters on different timelines. Like that's how I experience it, but it feels very matter of fact. Like you're taking me through it in this way that's like, okay, now we're in this year, but now we're with someone else in this. I don't know how to explain it. It fucks with me in a good way. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, George, I really enjoyed this piece, and I like that you told us that there was like a lack of air in your chart, because it definitely felt just like real dense and like a lot going on in this one. And I love to like that, you know, we kind of know a little bit about your process and your systems as a writer, but also like maybe that doesn't apply here, and or maybe it does, super, or whatever. Like I like that you're kind of keep us guessing as to like, ooh, what thing has like the more meaning, like where are the like the doors that are waiting to be open. And then also me thinking like, maybe there aren't any, maybe it's a trick. But I just love that it keeps us guessing. And yeah, I mean, I agree with everybody that I just have loved your writing and the short stories that you've told. And yeah, it's always just like such a treat. So thank you so much.
Raquel Reddick also enjoyed the lack of air. Olivia says that's a Mars and Scorpio mood right there. And some other praises from Michael, Victoria, and PLW. George, thank you so much.
I'll go next.
Okay.
Oh. Should we Rochambeau, Katie?
Okay. I'm actually down.
One more. Oh, you got it.
Okay. And I'm feeling really sweaty, so I feel like it's a good time to go. The anxiety is kicking in. All right. Hello. My name is Katie, until I'm told otherwise. I have Sun, Jupiter, Chiron, and rising in Leo. I have Venus, Mars, and Mercury in Virgo in the second house. Pluto is right near my IC in the fourth house, ruled by Scorpio. And moving along in the sixth house, I've got a whole slew of people. We've got Neptune, Uranus, Lilith is also there. My North Node. Am I missing anyone? I think that's it. In Capricorn, sixth house. Seventh house, I've got Saturn in my moon hanging out. Moon's full moon in Aquarius. And then midheaven Taurus. Okay, I think that's it. All right, I'm going to turn off my video and share my screen. Please enjoy this intro music as we navigate. Here we go. All right. Mother darkness seeps. I think I am complete, but then I open my eyes into this life. At dawn, I gaze to the horizon as I rise. My back is to the darkness of which I came from. As I face toward the sun, I step into this kingdom come naked. As I learn to unhide the rays from my skin, letting the glow ricochet to share the glow from within, I cannot help it. The moon's face unveiled, a spotlight shining the glow to the rest of the world. I'm not just here for me. And I rise slowly, thoughtfully. So close to the liminal, all of these words get stuck in my throat. How will I let them go? A collection of letters, the poetry of skin, poetry in the movements of this body I am in. At the circus, I throw the knife with precision every time. I dip the mold of what is still unknown carefully into the fire to see what will unfold. A reflection of another set in stone. I take my knife, now a thorn, to cut and trim to reveal what creations lie within. Which bird of prey am I today? Feeding of the unwant, so only what we want is here to stay. And oh, what is here to stay? Abundance for everyone. I shed my clothes and let my skin shine to remind others not to hide. A lesson to learn is how and where I let my light disperse. To break down the structures that restrict, dismantling for liberation, for the freedom of each body for revolution. We blaze the trails and shoot the arrows. But for now, where is my trail? Fingers feeling in the dark, the nebulous uncertainty, oscillating between the material and the non. I tap into the sap of dreams to share the sweet, imagining of a realm underground. And in these watery depths, here I rest, turning and turning, slow, deliberate. Hands on either side to go deeper down. The power of the churn, the warmth of the soil, the presence to bear witness, the cycle of renewal. The death that gives way to compost, where the juiciest fruit comes from the richest soil. And the thread of self-expression and karmic lesson, committing to hold all of the stems together, the thing that tethers me to this structural reality. And I take my aerial view and I see this tapestry, each strand, a piece of the bouquet, an honoring and offering of this life that I lead, with each cut, with each morph, with each weave.
Katie, were those 12 slides?
Let me see. Yes.
Was that on purpose?
No.
So I noticed, Katie, that those were the same scissors that you used to cut your hair. Among many other things I noticed too, but I just still can't get over the commitment to making art that I think many of us have shown up for, but I love that was also part of this last piece, that it was kind of so much beauty and so much poetry, and even just kind of getting back to what I think you've shared is maybe your kind of primary medium, and how it's just still so visually stunning. I guess photography is one of your mediums too, and that really kind of coming back to that in a way that was kind of just really grounded. And I really felt a lot of the Capricorn 6th house. I don't know. I think there's more. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I kind of was in the ride for sure. Thank you.
Thank
Katie,
you.
I really loved. Oh, did you want to?
Oh, I just wanted to say, each thing was for a planet, so it makes sense that it was 12. But I wasn't like, oh, 12. But each slide was for a planet.
That makes sense. Katie, I loved your mix of still photography and video. It was really cool to see that collage together. And I think you did a great job of the pairings that you did. It felt like they felt very energetically mixed together. And it makes sense that you were thinking about a specific planet with each pairing. And I also was delighted at the end to realize that you were collecting all of these things to put them together, because they felt separate in the beginning. So that was a really cool reveal at the end. And I know that we talked about Pluto last week, and this wasn't necessarily specifically a Pluto prompt, but we share the same Pluto placement, and I feel like my piece is kind of similar to yours. So it's just making me, I'm delighted. I can't wait for you to see it, because I feel like we did kind of similar things. So our 4th house Scorpio Plutos were in sync this week.
That's why we both came through with the rocks. Scissors. I don't know why I said.
there is something very tactile about it. Like the collecting it, like it tactile mental. Like I felt like I was watching you storyboard, like that could become a film, but then the actual experience felt like you were taking things and making them yours, like something that is this making sense? Like possessive, but not in like a like a jealous way. Possessive in like a, these are my bearings, my gifts that I offer you. I hope that makes sense.
Definitely does, because I had a really similar experience. I was seeing it as like a comic and like also a scroll that I was like kind of moving along. I can imagine all the photos lined up. That's like how I was visualizing the motion. And to me, it was like all the parts were the skin. I just felt like skin was the dominant, yeah, like the symbolic center, and that I was imagining all this landscape on the skin. And like, yeah, like the shadow flower where instead of where the flowers actually becomes in the skin like a tattoo, but it's a shadow. And you said a line, you think you said the words unhide the rays, which I think you meant to like to reveal them, like but hide, right, is this word that also points to skin. And so unhiding is a kind of peeling or cracking open. So I was just vibing on this, imagining this landscape as a landscape of skin, which I think is what you were saying, Oli. I'm just repeating you. Sorry.
Yeah, I think just to go off of what you said, George, also like when the bouquet came together and it was the onion, and like that onion had like the onion skin on it and it was cracked and it was the biggest part of the bouquet. And then you said that and I was like, oh yeah, because that really stood out to me. And yeah, I think from the experience of being in this class with you, Katie, like since our charts are so similar, I've learned so much from learning about your chart. And just a couple of the things that you said just really stood out to me. I think when you were talking about Aquarius moon, that I'm not here just for me, I was like, oh yeah, like that's where that is. And like, I feel like I could like pick out specifics just because we have so many similar placements. And yeah, I loved it. I thought the format of it was really cool. And yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I also want to echo the first the scissors, which I saw and I was like, yes. Yeah, I think that carrying that through with you, like you carry it like physically, like in your life, having it carry through is really yeah, like a kind of what do they call it? Like a fetish, you know, not like a fetish, but like the literal, you know, or a, like I feel like a symbolic weight of those of that object for you, and also, I mean, what everybody's saying, the skin thing, like having, yeah, and it wasn't even like layering for me. Yeah, I'm not, the words are not like here. I want to watch it again. But I was really, really, it made my brain kind of like bounce between, do you have trines?
Yeah, Grand Earth. Surprise.
Yeah. I just kept thinking about like my brain kept bouncing between like image, image, word, image, word over and over again, like that. I don't know what to do with it, but like those three aspects kept like happening for me. Yeah, my brain was like moving in a triangle. Thanks.
Very cool. Thank you all.
Thank you, Katie. So good. Who's feeling it in their heart?
I'm next, I think. Let's do it. I think my piece will tell you a lot about my chart, but I will say Leo rising, Cancer sun, Virgo moon. And here we go. I always go in heart first. I have a deep desire to shine for those I feel safe around, which gives me a quiet power. I'm great at categorizing symbols and love to bravely explore materials and make them more useful. I can be very secretive and have a strong intuition. I'm super detail oriented and enjoy learning to subconsciously categorize things that are undetectable. I see the world as a network of interconnectedness, and am working to find words for organizing unconscious material. I am relentlessly uncovering and renewing my roots, and I'm not afraid to trim the dead roots. There is a constant life cycle I'm working through with composing and decomposing, a messy destruction to find the sweetness. I love to prove my braveness to get through something hard and find magic in the psychedelic effect of being totally overwhelmed. I feel an unconscious obligation and a hypnotic pull to figure out my own ancestral heritage. I have a deep need for freedom. I love shattering ideologies, and I need my creative work to mean something. What's the story here? I have difficulty holding down a creative routine, and once I make a structure for myself, I often feel an itch to change it. I'm good at building radical structures and making an idealistic change a solid reality. I'm committed to revolution and need a structure to broadcast my vision. What is the most efficient tool? I'm great in a crisis and a high-stakes all-or-nothing quest. I have a crazy ability to work with changes and carry the burden through. I tend to treat my creative ideas like emergencies, and am struck by the heat of my creative urges. I often fall into happy mistakes to create genius art, and am working to uncover the truth and broadcast it. I like to play with the stories our culture upholds and turn them on their head. I need to make sure my wild self has a place. I have difficulty with time, and structure sometimes falls through the cracks. My mind can be in a lot of subworlds, and I'm constantly skating between what's true and not true. I always need to test my impressions to see if they are only my own. I need an organized spiritual practice, and I need to schedule and designate time to zone out. I'm super sentimental for sleepover camp, a place where someone else decides what happens when. I tend to be somewhat impulsive, and am really skilled at getting what I want. I'm good at going to uncharted territory, as long as I have a safety net. I have a very independent way of seeing things and strong as hell opinions. I enjoy knowing things through experience and can be super headstrong. I'm great at being independent and being my own boss. I'm also sensitive, instinctual, and intuitive, and am excellent at holding a vision and leading the way for others. I thrive in growing through a stable career, and I'm really good at giving wise career advice. I tend to indulge in the finer things in life and have a good, strong taste for things. I have a deep desire to create things from the earth. I need to know that the material life I leave behind will be enough. I'm a total social butterfly. I need a lot of variety and enjoy jumping between close groups of friends. I love to think about what happens when people get together and why. I'm great at having a self-generated big idea, assembling a team, and asking them to help me fulfill it. I like having ideas grounded in a big concrete way, and I'm good at teaching a group of people a variety of fun things. I can be hypersensitive and have an unbound imagination and fantasy life. My mental impressions often sift through emotional images. I'm great at having a vision and going for it. I am psychic and empathic and strongly relate to the emotional depth of whales. I want to heal the collective shadow through my own personal story. I'm waiting for when the dolphins can tell us the secrets of the universe.
I was so hoping you would do a weaving thing. Oh my gosh, that was so cool. And yeah, very like a lot of similar like threads for sure. And even the words too. And also like I do love things with hands, and I just love too like all of your like hand everywhere. And oh my gosh, just like it's beautiful. And that's such a cool concept too, of weaving like for a chart, and having each layer be dedicated to a chart. And I also just love like weavings with plant material, and like that combination. And like I also feel like you are also super earthy. And like it's been a common thread throughout a lot of your other videos too. But yeah, it was just so beautiful and grounding, and like a lot of your other projects like just felt really nourishing. And like I want one. Like I want one of your weavings. And is that the new loom that you made, or is that okay? Cool.
I didn't make it, but it's my newest acquisition. So this is the first weaving I've ever made on this loom.
And what a special like thing for your first weaving. It's like, okay, I'm gonna weave myself. And yeah, it's very, very beautiful. Thank you for that.
So something that really struck me, I mean, it was so beautiful. The words, like the story that you were telling, was almost like interrupted a little bit by like the sound of the loom, which had such a fabulous kind of like down to earth kind of layer, which was so cool because I don't know, I felt a little bit too like that time was this mystery, and just like to see at the end that each that you had like basically woven your chart, or like interpreted your chart into this like woven piece. And I thought that was just so beautiful because of the like time contemplating like each placement that like we didn't really get to see on kind of like the video, because it was all like edited. I also was there's a part of it where I think that the line that you said was something about your wild, and like putting your wild in a place. And it was like right when you were weaving the yarrow in, and it was just so like, yep, you are just putting that wild in its place. Exactly where you want it. And I really loved that. I think it was delightful. Thank you.
I can just like tell so much thought was placed into this. And I really appreciate that. It's also cool that you can see that. But like hypnotizing was, and I think you even said hypnotizing at one point. The process was very hypnotizing, but it was also nurturing, like Katie said, and like prepared would be the word. Like you knew what you were doing, but we didn't know what you were doing. So you were like creating something. You were a step ahead of us, essentially. And it was like cool to see the final product, even though like you were already there. Like you were like a leap ahead. I don't know where Virgo is, but I relate that to Virgo. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I feel always like almost calm. Yeah, I feel calm after watching a lot of your videos.
I don't feel calm. I feel like the object has a calm to it. The object has. I just kept thinking, what would this be? What would it be to encounter the object, and then therefore, what is the video like right on its own? And then what is the video? How does the video transform the object? And to me, it's like the mantra that goes into this. Like when you're weaving is just this long, slow, very, not, it's like it's a kind of concentration, but it's not, it leaves space for thought. And I felt like you're filling in that thought with these statements that were like willing them into being, but there was a kind of uncalming to me sensation of these like pile up of like insisting on a kind of control or a okayness that I think I might be fooled by the object into thinking is there, but the video just totally explodes, and I feel like you're just like it's like your guts are on the loom now. And yeah, I was thinking comparing it to Katie because there is a real beautiful similarity between the processes, but there's something kind of innocent or there's something kind of chaste in Katie's piece that I feel like this was like there's a kind of pervert at work here. That I felt I was in the room with that. So thank you.
Yeah, I think the thing that stood out to me the most, which I guess is just kind of counter to what George just said though, but like I took it as like, yes, because weaving is so like repetitive and like meditative. And the evenness of your tone, of your voice, like the sentences kind of all had the same like cadence and length to them. Like I am blah, 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 and not blah, blah, blah. And so I thought it was like, yeah, the flatness of your tone and then the flatness of the finished piece, I felt really worked well together. And I mean, the weaving itself is like so beautiful. And I think, yeah, Katie really hit on something that's like a really special piece to have and like such a neat idea. So I'm just like jazzed on that part of it for sure.
It also like, I mean, a lot of what everybody said, a little bit of like, I feel a certain anxiety, like with it almost felt self-helpy, like mantra-y. Yeah, I think about like the tests, like when you're being tested psychologically and you have to like pick which, like how much from a scale of whatever to whatever something relates to you. like whether you feel it all the time and you're like, I am blah, 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 blah. And then, you know, and it's just over and over. So that was one thing that was both like, they also are like, they were all pretty positive attributes, right? Or like I only remembered like, I didn't remember like I am a real asshole, you know, like I have problems with like respecting other people's boundaries, you know. Yeah, so it was like affirmation, like motion, which was also like repetitive, you know, in the same way. I also thought a lot about like, oh, the same line that that Sherry, the like, I need to find a place for my wild, yeah, it's like, ooh, yeah, like you did, you found one. The other thing that really struck me is how geological it is, you know, especially with different bands having different thicknesses and things being caught in between. Like you were creating, you know, layering yourself on top of yourself in a like growing, you know, sedimentary way. That was like, and then like, what does that make you? That makes you like the forces of nature, but you are like, it is the reflection of, I don't know. It was really mesmerizing as ever. And as ever, I would watch an entire like hour-long video of you weaving. It doesn't need to, no other like angles, just like, you know. The chat box was also mesmerized. Nickbo loved watching the process, was very nourishing. Elizabeth, what an amazing representation of your meticulous nature and the delicious chaos of the natural world. And Michael was appreciating having learned about you through the piece. Stephanie, thank you. Right, we have 2 of our favorite people left. Who will it be? Can I go last? Sherry, is that okay with you?
You got it. Okay, I guess that's me. Thanks, Fontaine. Thanks, everybody. I am glowing again a little bit. Hey, I'm Sherry. My chart, I have the Sun, Jupiter, Neptune, and Mercury in the 8th house in Capricorn. My rising sign is in Gemini, and Chiron is there too. Let's see. Moon, Pluto, Saturn, and South Node are all in Scorpio. And that leaves my Mars and Venus in Pisces in the 10th house. And I have really so loved this class to just kind of be weird with you all. So I hope to just keep getting weirder. This is kind of a draft. I think they've all been kind of a draft. So just go easy, be gentle. I'm not really pleased with the sound. So just bear with me on that. Do-do-do. Here we go.
What?
Peace.
Was that a cameo?
That was a
Hell
cameo.
yeah.
Holy shit.
When the hell did that happen?
That is freaking great.
See, I was gonna go last, but Fontaine wanted it, so.
Oh, that is so good. Oh my God.
Wish you all were there.
You also, oh my God. So I'm like gonna lose it. I also started with trees, and you also started with trees in your naked body, walking around that tree. And I remember being like, who the hell is filming this? And it was like, who are these other people? And then for the other people to be you guys, it's like, I'm sorry, this is very insider, but it's just like, just the coming together. I just was really, really struck throughout the whole piece that the sun is a star. Like the sun is a star and we're all under it. It's so like that light is just one star, like 93 million miles away, that could burn you up. And yeah, I mean, we're all right there. You know, like, you know, even if like everybody's Pluto is in wherever, except mine's like a tiny hair off because I'm a tiny bit older. Well, you know what? Like, we're like all right there, less than a hair's width away, if you think of it in any kind of size. Like, you really, I'm sorry to go on about other things. The piece really makes these scales, makes these ideas so close and so and palpable. It just, I really like, it's a translation that is so with such clarity. It just, I'm very, very moved, and I'm very happy to share the class with all of you. And I can't believe that you were in the same space together. It's like blowing my mind.
Yeah, that was a total trip. I feel like I was really tripped up because like when you were closer but you were in the front, I was like, you looked younger to me. I was like, oh, is this like footage from like when you were in a dance? Because I know you've used old footage before. And then I saw Maggie and I was like, wait, do you know Maggie? Like, did you used to be young together? I was like, it like totally, the frames of time were dissolved and I loved it. And I wanted to be in that parking lot with y'all dancing. But to be more serious about your piece, which was beautiful until the cameo where I was like, what is happening? I feel like kind of what George was saying, Sherry, you're so good at creating pieces that feel so expansive. I feel like I especially notice that because I feel like I have a tendency to like tunnel in and like kind of be like micro about things. And you just, your work that you've shared in this class is always like the field of vision is always so broad. And it makes, like George was saying, just like it illuminates those like larger kind of energies. I love that the moon showed up for you too. And I really enjoyed the text and how you used it to interact with your body in the space. Like there were a few times where like the text was sort of covering you as you walked by, or like the words were framing you in some ways. So I really liked how intentional you were with where it was placed. It felt very poetic and non-linear because of how you played with where the text was, which was really, really rad. Yeah, thank you. That was so delightful.
Yeah, Sherry, I loved seeing how it all came together. And I feel like, yeah, just the expansiveness of it and the kind of answer you posed to like, why am I in this body? Like it really, know, it's making me think, well, why are we in these bodies? Because I had that whole piece about like not wanting to be in one. And then I feel like that just really like, it was really calming to me and really just like, oh shit, it's because like, I think you put in there like shamans and monks and past kind of iterations of yourself like wanted that. And I just think what a interesting and very like, yeah, new idea that my brain has never gone to ever. So that kind of blew my mind. And yeah, you guys come to Oregon and dance in parking lots with us because it was really fun.
I want to see like the progression of your pieces in order, kind of. Like I feel like they like kind of build on each other weirdly. Yeah, it was also super, super delightful, the end part. But only when I figured out who it was, because I have face blindness and I wasn't expecting those people to be in that place. So it really was like a surprise to me. But like a later surprise than for everybody else. Yeah. Yeah, I like the text. I keep going like later in the commenting, so a lot of the things that I'm saying are like, you brilliant humans have said similar things. But the way that like the text was showing up, and like revealing itself, and especially the like, I forgot what part it was, but the like like scrolling, that was really, it was like the text was like kind of slowly revealing itself, and then suddenly it was like a deluge, and like your body still in that space, like with this cascading like text, was really powerful. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna miss this. I'm gonna miss seeing yeah, like your work kind of like unfold itself, and everybody's work. Sorry.
You're gonna miss seeing my butt.
Yeah. That's why I want to have all of your work next to itself so I can see your butt over and over. Yeah, I also love that like it has come full circle, like what George was saying with your first piece, like with the trees and like and just like your naked body. And then and I was so curious how you were going to weave our dancing into this. And I loved it. I loved it. And it's like the yeah, like it also felt like with the text in your video, like it felt I just kept getting like that Capricorn, but like Capricorn in that eighth house of kind of like revealing what is hidden, and not like in even just like in the like like sense of like my body, right? And also like what is this body, and like what is within this body, and like eighth house things also like talking about like what you've inherited in your body from your ancestors, and like revealing that too, like revealing yeah, like what is typically like hidden or under the surface, or maybe like things that people don't really like talk about, and just like putting it out there in this like really beautiful and profound way. And I actually really loved the sound, in it felt very, or it was kind of like ASMR to me. Like it was like I don't know what it was like crackling almost, but I actually really liked the sound. I don't know if that's what you meant, but um, I also love that full circle. And and also the progression of it, just like it, I felt like the film told a story. um and it's like, oh, why am I in this body? And then towards the end it's like, oh, to dance, to and then like cut with like the dancing scene. And yeah, it brought like a sense of like lightness and community to like, oh, we are all in these bodies together. Yeah, I loved it. And I'm very honored to have been present in one of.
I echo a lot of what people have said, but there's certain things that really stood out to me in the beginning with the scrolling and your body walking with it, and then to have you disrupt it by like moving out of the statement, almost saying like, because later then you have it, so you set it up so the words say basically, I am not this body. So it felt like the disruption was leaving the body. Or I don't know if it was intentional or not, but like the majority of the piece kind of felt like this like pull and push of I am a body, like I am a body, I'm not a body, I am a body, I'm not a body, I am a body, I'm not a body. And I felt, maybe that's the Gemini, like I felt the like the rattling back and forth kind of sensation. Yeah, I'm also just gonna miss seeing your films, genuinely. Like I always get very excited before. Yeah.
Olivia says that they love that your last name means with freedom. Very apropos. Thank you, Sherry, so much.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Fontaine, our headliner.
Procrastinator. Okay, let me get ready, get set. So my that's my chart down there. I have a lot of Leo and a lot of Virgo, and some other things. Okay.
Yes, the most epic Fontaine piece ever. I loved that so much. Yes, thank you. I feel like that is so totally what's going on in my head a lot of times. And I know you've shared that, like, you know, like mental health things are just like very real. And so there's just something so raw about that piece that it just felt very raw and exquisite at the same time, just like a whole kind of live collage of, like, it just kind of dissolved away from like what I was actually watching into just like letting all these things kind of wash over me and find their own chaotic swirly beauty. Thanks, Fontaine. I always love your work.
Fontaine. So I was assigned to respond to your Venus, like my Venus was responding to your moon. I almost every time I see your work, I get super like excited and inspired. So I'm just kind of intrigued in general about our own synastry. But I wrote down, I just started taking like weird notes. So that's how I'm going to share my final me responding to people. So I am in a sexy disco, but I am apologetic for my existence. I cover the display of myself. I only want to be seen on my terms. I'm a dominatrix, meta, and then I wrote travel as aspects, train and red light, Carmere. I use my tools, the chaos of Virgo, to create connections. That's what I wrote down. That's what I experienced.
That's a piece right there. It's true. Thank you.
Yeah, Fontaine, that was great. I caught myself at one point just because there had been so many tabs opened in our collective brain, is what it felt like. That like I forgot totally about the music, and I was like waiting for the sound bites from all the little bits that were happening. And then at one point I was like, oh shit, that music is still playing. And I just feel like that's just like the background noise of life or something going on all the time. And you're like still looking for the little bits and the little details. And then it's like, oh my God, I have like these, like this is still happening. And it just really felt like that urgency to me. Like I had a moment of feeling like, oh, I still need to be like listening to that music. Like that's still part of this too. So that was, yeah, cool. And I love these like multiple window pieces that you do. They are so like impactful and wonderful. And yeah, the like lot, I think Sherry said like a live collage, like absolutely. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Fontaine, I feel like your work feels sometimes like a digital quilt in a way. Like it's just so many layers and pieces. It feels kind of like what being on the internet is like sometimes. And I also feel always so surprised and like sometimes pleasantly surprised of like the synchronicities in the different things that you're pulling up. And I don't know how much you plan things. I imagine there's planning, but also I don't know if that matters. Like it has this spontaneity feeling about it that is so delightful. Like when you pull up a new video and then you're like even putting the water next to the blowing stuff on the roof, I was like, oh, those are really similar. Like just connections that I wouldn't have made myself. I feel like you're so good at kind of mashing those things together. And I feel like there was like a voyeurism quality to it, but it was like you were making me be the voyeur of you, of like seeing you like being dolled up or like in your cute little bed, like zooming in. And it felt like delightful in a way to be like, oh, I didn't realize this was what was happening, but it's just happening and I'm going along with it. So it didn't necessarily feel uncomfortable. It was just like, oh, now I'm a voyeur of Fontaine's life. Yeah, thank you. I have no idea how you do it too, so it's really It's amazing.
I'm thinking about how it's like phone videos on a desktop, and about that movement between these two dominant screens in our lives, and how this is not made on a phone. It's made like very clearly on a computer, but it's all these videos that are obviously made from on a phone camera. So I'm just thinking about that movement between those two spaces. And yeah, there's a kind of mastery that I feel over the whole thing. That movement to me connotes a mastery, because it's like this thing has been moved and placed somewhere else. Like some work has been done. That's not just automatic. But yet the chaos is so constant that there's no way. I'm like, oh, I'm missing something. Like, oh my God, no, wait, I didn't see that quite yet. And then it's like, I like the duration of this piece because it allowed me to, it really pushed me to the point of letting go of like, Fontaine's in control, and there's no way I'm going to see everything. There's just no way. And the enduring mystery of the piece to me is whatever you did to your actual video is like so twisted and cool. Like, it's like, first I thought you had like turn on a smoke machine, and then I'm like, then it zooms in and I'm like, I don't know what's going on anymore. Like, I really don't know. I don't know how it's made. And it's like there's an analog along with the screen space. There's a screen space, but then there's also a real space. Like, you've put a screen in front of the camera in real space. It's like, I don't know. I was just really, I felt helpless in a good way.
That's what I like to hear.
And I don't mean to to plug you as a plug your other professions.
Yeah, yes. Fontaine, yes. I feel like your pieces start as you're setting up. I'm like, okay, even like when you start like sharing your screen, like, okay, Fontaine's piece has started. And yeah, I also felt that control and like in all of your Virgo-ness of like and the Leo, like the way you take up space, like you take up the whole space, but in this very like strategic way. And yeah, I also love all of your video collages, and I agree that this is like Fontaine, like Big Bang, like video collage. And I feel like I mentioned this before. I don't know if this is intentional, but like all of your pieces have this like like sensual, like tantalizing like feel, especially like with the song choice that you chose, like you know. And I love too that it never went to the words. It's always like the build up to the words, and which was like even more of that like feeling, like a building up feeling. Yeah, I feel like I really you just like took us on this journey like through your chart, and it was this really beautiful and fun and cool like weaving. And yeah, also like I'm not in control. I don't know which way we're gonna go. Like, you know which way we're gonna go. And I love that. Like, I've kind of feel like at the beginning of this class, like I feel like I tried to control my experience, but now I'm just gonna let you control my experience. And just like whatever lands. But yeah, and just like I like, again, like I love things with hands, and I love like your writing, and specifically like that piece where like you're writing this thing, and then it's not revealed until you put it with all the others, that there's like a whole slew of the same thing like over and over again. Like I feel like there's a lot in that. I feel like there's a lot in each individual piece, but that one in particular stood out to me. yeah, I loved it. Thank you. Thank you for this journey.
Thank you.
And Fontaine, Olivia pointed out that the definition of the word Capel, your last name, am I saying it right? Is a composite stone found in tin and copper iodes. And that this piece felt like the Virgoan, earthy stitching together of Jupiter, tin, and Venus, copper abundance.
Thanks for that. That's very cool. I didn't know that.
Thank you, Olivia. Thank you, Fontaine. Thank you, everyone. Oh my gosh, what an endurance round. Thank you all who have come to support these artists and be an audience for these artists. I'm gonna leave a link in the chat. One is spacecraft link and another is Trans Neptune Gallery, which is where these pieces are going to be featured. And thank you so much. This ends our spacecraft's final show. May the stars be with you. Yes. We send you many digital hugs and kisses. Be well. This ends the stream.